Apex Legends has always been known for its fairly balanced weaponry, at least in my experience playing since launch day. Aside from the whole charge rifle shenanigans that happened at the beginning of Season 3, we actually have had pretty balanced weaponry now. A lot of people are going to say, like, well, the Peacekeeper had a phase that it went through where it was unbalanced, which is probably true. It did have, like, a weird period where it was really powerful, and then a weird period where it was really, like, not powerful. But the nature of changing video games, like games that have pretty regular patches with buffs and nerfs, is that certain weapons fall in and out of meta. And that doesn't mean that they're necessarily imbalanced, it just means that the devs would like the spotlight to be on other weapons, because obviously you can't have an arsenal of like 20 plus weapons and all of them are like perfectly viable against each other, because that's just not how that works. However, recently, and when I say recently, this has been a plague affecting the game for the last couple months. Apex Legends players have been suffering needlessly at the hands of the Havoc, and I'm gonna really dive into the details of why and how and when it got so bad, and then we're gonna talk about what I think are potential solutions, things that will without a doubt make it far more bearable to play against, and it still wouldn't feel that bad to use. So we got to go all the way back to the beginning of Season 1, which is where our story starts, since that's when the Havoc was introduced into the game. Now, there hasn't been any damage changes to the Havoc since it came into the game. It has always done 18 as a body shot and 36 for a headshot. Now, even when this weapon dropped, I always thought, wow, that's really crazy how much damage that does. Not because of the actual like 18 and 36, but because of how fast this thing shoots. To put that into perspective, hitting only body shots, the damage per second is 201.6, which means if you hit every shot for 1 second on a player, if they have purple or gold armor, they will be dead. So without a doubt, like up there with the R99, the Havoc has always had one of the fastest times to kill. And this isn't like just up close, like you could laser people from 50, 60 meters away with this thing and have them die within a second. Like, I'm not even exaggerating, like I've seen it done before and I've done it myself. However, if you're a player who has started playing after, I'd say, the last 3/4 of Season 3 or Season 4 or Season 5, you probably don't realize that the Havoc used to have extended magazines. So when this gun dropped, it originally had a 25 round mag until you got extended mags. And 25 is a lot more bearable of a mag size than 32, but we'll talk about all that later and how that can be balanced. But the biggest thing, the hugest buff that like any gun has ever gotten in Apex history, this sucker went from a 3.2 second reload to a 2.6 second reload. That's 8/10 of a second. That's astronomical. It got a 25% buff for reload speed, which is bonkers. That's such a humongous buff, but that didn't come until a little bit later on. So that actually came somewhere between Season 1 and Season 3. I went through all the patch notes and I couldn't even find when this happened, but all of the modern numbers and stats for the Havoc show that it's now at 2.6. I fully trust the people who run the stats page for the Apex weapons, so I didn't have time to reach out to them before I made this video, but I do really trust them that it was changed at some point between Season 1 and Season 3. However, the first notable change to the Havoc came in Season 4, and that's when they officially got rid of energy extended magazines. Now, it was supposed to drop at the beginning of Season 4, but they accidentally made the patch go live at the very end of Season 3, which is why I said if you started at the end of Season 3, you probably don't remember that. And the devs made the worst decision of their lives. Well, probably not their lives, but definitely for everybody who's ever been gunned down ruthlessly by the Havoc. It's one of the worst decisions that's ever happened for them, because the horizontal recoil got buffed tremendously. It got so much easier to shoot. Now, don't get me wrong, previous to Season 4, the gun was fairly easy to use, but like the flatline, it took a certain degree of skill to be able to hit all your shots. Now, you literally could put on a blindfold and laser somebody, so it doesn't really take much skill to use the Havoc anymore. I'm gonna even with you. So the entirety of Season 4 was really run by the Havoc. You were a fool to not pick up the Havoc, but somehow these mad lads, the testers at Respawn, somehow gave the green light to the quote-unquote nerfs for the Havoc that we saw in Season 5. Now, these nerfs included vertical recoil having an increase, horizontal recoil having an increase, and the recoil on the first 2 shots having an increase. Now, I don't know about you guys, but now in Season 5, I just click on my mouse and somehow magically the Havoc just always finds people's heads. It's kind of crazy. I feel like I got aimbot sometimes, because the recoil is so perfect that if you start shooting like right at somebody's belly button, it snakes up their stomach, up their chest, and then pauses directly on their head. Even if they're running at you, you literally just have to put your mouse, like crosshair or your stick, whatever, right on their stomach and pull the trigger, and brrr, and the person's dead, like, immediately. Somehow these dudes didn't realize this, so I don't know what's going on over there, guys. Don't worry, we'll forgive you once the Havoc gets fixed, but holy moly, this nerf is the biggest buff, like, in human history in a video game. Having said that, though, let me know down below, what is actually the biggest and most unnecessary buff that's ever happened in a video game? I'm sure you guys who have played more than just Apex have some really funny ones I've never heard of. But that's besides the point. We're talking about the godsend gun right here. This is like the hammer of dawn of weapons in Apex Legends. The sword of Artorias. So what would I do to change the Havoc to make this weapon more bearable? Well, first up, the reason that the Havoc is the Havoc, like its unique characteristic, is how fast it shoots. The Havoc would not be the Havoc if you nerfed its rate of fire. The allure of it is that it spams bullets faster than you can count them. I would instead decrease the body shots, and obviously the headshots as well, because it has a 2x multiplier. Now, before you roll your eyes and go, oh, blah, 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 take into account for a second that at 18 damage for 32 bullets in a magazine on the Havoc, you can do 576 damage. If you as a solo were coming up against an entire trio of people with purple armor or gold armor, you could, in one magazine, down 2 of them and deal all but 24 damage, which is 1 punch to the third person. You can basically squad wipe with 1 magazine of the Havoc. If you compare that to the 301 or you compare that to the flatline, like, there's no shot. It's not even close. And on top of that, it also can do it far faster. So in my mind, I don't see anything wrong with nerfing the damage from 18 to 16, since, as I said, I don't want to nerf the rate of fire. I also would recommend that the recoil is just set back to what it was at launch. The gun was absolutely fine when they launched it, and then they were just toying around with it because they were like, oh, it's not quite good enough, it's not where we want it, and then they accidentally unleashed the Kraken on us. So, in my opinion, on top of bringing it back to launch with maybe a little tiny bit of a buff, like make it have like a slightly less recoil than it had at launch, and then just bringing the reload time up from 2.6 to 2.7. It doesn't seem like that much, but just the little things to like tweak it a little bit, I think that would be good, because now that it has so many more rounds in the magazine, I don't think that it'll suffer that much from having just a little damage nerf The biggest thing is reverting the recoil, obviously, because as I said, the season 4 buff to the recoil really set it way too high, and then the season 5 nerf that accidentally made it way better is just too much. So just bring it back to what it was at launch. Let's start at square one. We'll see how people feel about that, and if a little bit of work needs to be done, okay, I get you. But the point of the Havoc is to have a really fast firing weapon, so that if you're really close, or like a close medium range, you can deal heavy damage, which stands out from the 301 and the flatline, which are supposed to be more medium range. However, those are my thoughts. This video has run on quite a little while. I'm okay with that though, because this was like a history lesson. None of this was like stretched out content, I don't think. I hope not. I feel like I've been staying on topic as much as possible. But that's going to be it for this video. I do post every single day, so if you're not already, please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. Just want to thank you guys for liking this video. It really means a lot to me. But that's all for me for right now, so I'll be back with you again tomorrow. But until then, take it easy.